Blog Talk Radio.
Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroads where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future. Shedding the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, not exactly its remarkable ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name's Mark Angelo Cumming, your host.
And I'm Lena Lopez, your hostess.
Tonight's show is being broadcast live from the same place that has been broadcast for a while now.
Silver City, New Mexico.
The land of enchantment, or UFOs, or beautiful sceneries and skies.
Absolutely gorgeous these days.
Gorgeous. The weather is just unbelievable, and I think finally we're getting rid of winter. But hey, before we start the broadcast, what do we want to do?
We wanted to thank our sponsors at thebreastformstore.com because they have everything you can imagine to enhance your feminizing needs.
Yes, as well as Spunk Lube, an amazing self-lubricant or personal lubricant that's glycerin-free, 100% sex toy safe with all materials. Sex toy safe with all materials. Anyway, we like the silicone one. Yeah, that's
the bomb.
Yeah, it's bomb. Very handy lately. Sex is good, folks. Do not have to fear sex. Sex is a wonderful thing, and I know it's healing and it's spiritual. It's wonderful. But anyway, check them out. They have a website, which is
www.spunklube.com.
And if you guys are broke and need a break, we give you a 10% discount on their products if you enter the code TR, and they will hook you up, as always. Wow. World's going crazy.
It is. I mean, there's all this upheaval going on with the role of men, the role of women. I mean, a few weeks ago we talked about how men feel displaced in their homes and in their lives, and now women, it happens to them too, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think there's confusion of what we are supposed to be doing. And I know everyone's going to call me a male chauvinist pig, but, back in the day, before all this women's lib, when women stayed home, took care of the babies, cooked nice dinners, washed clothes without a washing machine, did what they had to do, the home was solid. It was concrete. There was just nothing that could actually break that home apart.
Those are fighting words, aren't they?
They are for a lot of people, but if you really look at things the way they've become, women now go out and they make their own money. They don't need men anymore. Men are feeling left out, and, all sorts of things are happening that's tearing down society and our life.
Women feel like men aren't needed anymore.
Right.
Because they're self-sufficient.
And what people aren't seeing is that there's this major pendulum that's shifting the world to this very war-driven, masculine-driven world. And this is affecting women. The nurturing, concrete, loving individuals that kept the family together, the cohesion behind a successful man is a strong woman that's supporting that man. And again, call me male chauvinist pig, but I feel that something is really going on in this world. I mean, women just want to have big breasts, go out partying with their friends, make lots of money, go to bed with all sorts of different guys, and now they want to beat up on each other.
They have their own fight club.
Yes, they do. I mean,
Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Now it's women fighting. Now, this article, and you guys, you could check it. I'm actually going to put the links on YouTube, and the links are here on Blog Talk page. You guys could actually see the tremendous pictures this photographer who is actually telling the story has written. Under harsh lights in a private rented room in Berlin, women face each other in violent, sometimes bloody battles of brute strength. There are no official rules for this female fight club. Oh no, the fighters are both beginners and professionals, anywhere from age 20 to 50, said photographer Katarzyna Mazur, who spent months documenting the club in 2013 and 2014.
Led by founders nicknamed Anaconda, like the snake,
right,
and Red Devil, a match might pit a bodybuilder against a martial arts master. They can wrestle, throw punches, or what girls usually did in high school.
Cat fights.
There is no judge, just someone who knows the parameters they've decided for the match. The small audience is mostly made up of men, obviously. But it's a place for women to shed the roles they play outside.
You know, women don't understand that all this women's lib has actually degraded them. They're doing things for the pleasure of men. Hooters, you know, bunch of women walking around. Yeah, wings for those that like those kind of things. But, you know, like, you have to have big boobs to work in this place.
For the breast.
Yeah, most men do. I don't. I like small breasts personally. But it's just crazy that everything that women are doing nowadays is for the satisfaction and pleasure of men. And they think they're all liberated. And they think
I know, because these guys are sitting there getting all excited about watching women, and I saw these pictures. Some of them, they don't have any tops.
No tops. Boobies,
so
galore.
Boobs are sticking out, and nipples and all that.
Become something sexual.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, when they did the whole, you know, mud wrestling, you know, women, all that thing going on back in the 70s and 80s. It's no different doing this.
Right. So when I saw this kind of fighting for the first time, I was quite shocked. I had never seen something like that before, and it was really interesting to experience all of this up close and personal, said Mazur, who photographed the fight club as part of her work towards graduation from photography school. Inhibition and fear do not exist on this mat.
At first, Mazur said she shot the fight club in color. But the look of the blue mat and neon lights didn't quite do it for her. She shifted to black and white images and reduced her point of view, getting as close as she could to the action. It was not easy to work like that because the matches were going very quickly and they were very unpredictable. She said, although fighters were respectful and would stop if someone was seriously hurt, I had to be very careful not to get hit. Fortunately, there are chairs on the side, so I could jump on them if the female fighters suddenly rolled under my feet.
It's pretty dangerous, you know, you're a photographer.
Well, I used to do a lot of, you know, boxing matches in the past, and I used to do, like, ultimate fighting.
Right.
And this is very similar to that, where, you know, there's blood, there's, you know, a lot of violent activity happening, and the referees have to really watch it because these guys are just going at it, and they're not even paying attention to where they are.
It's grueling. It's very dangerous, to say the least. I mean, all that violence, and I don't understand it. You know, people get off. I mean, it's something that's happened from the beginning of time where people were put in arenas and they throw up little lions, and the lions would like chase. Yeah, it's like, what are we, barbaric? You know, and now our women are doing this.
Teaching people to do the same thing that they've done throughout the ages is to be aggressive and to be dominant.
Where's the nurturing of this world? There's none of that left anymore. It's sad.
Yeah.
They're all in the name of women's lib, and because, you know, they want to be the same as men.
They have a role to, you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, call me old-fashioned, but I don't go for that. Anyway, for all the aggression built into fighting, Mazur said the project required a lot of sensitivity. She had to work quickly, and she didn't always know her subjects well. The bouts, the motivations, the scenes can all leave a lot of room for interpretation. Mazur said she had to examine her own limitations, questioning how far can I go? Do they trust me? And am I allowed to do that? I enjoy exploring new worlds, especially a world which exists in a gray area, she said.
she also had to remember that the fighters pushing and pummeling inside the club have lives outside, too. Their mothers, partners, and friends. Their actions on the mat might contradict how they live the rest of their lives. Even years later, the Fight Club is still running and is better than ever, Mazur said.
Very often I was very moved after seeing and editing the pictures, realizing what exactly happened there, Mazur said. It is important to always remember my role as a photographer and to always approach the subject with interest and with an open mind. Yeah, it's, again...
Violence doesn't help anybody.
Not at all.
I mean,
you know, I'm not being a male chauvinist pig, but I think women, all right, close my eyes and I think of a woman. I think of loving, gentle, nurturing.
Loving, yeah.
Yes, you know, little apron in the kitchen, and I know, sorry, but, you know, husband coming home. I know, coming home from work and the wife's there, you know, taking care of the kids and loving on the husband.
There was something really pure and simple and good about that. I mean, she had nothing to really prove. She was just proving her love to her family.
And she was a strength because there was no weakness.
She kept it all together. I mean, without her in the home couldn't function. As
it's not functioning now, because now both men and women are out working. Kids are in institutions.
Basically.
You know, from the time the mother gives birth, they give her 3 months, and the kid has to go to some daycare thing. Well, strangers raise your kids.
They pawn off the kids, you know, in order to keep the boat, in order to keep the big car.
Exactly.
You know, in order to have fun.
Families don't have dinner together anymore. They barely get to see each other. It's all about money, buying all these things that you can't use or don't need. And all for what? You're losing what really matters, and that is love.
Well, the beautiful thing about love is that it's still evident today. And there's this really cool story. It's a miraculous story that makes you really catch your breath. And the gift of a child is unlike anything else in this world. The day that a mother brings a baby of her own flesh into this life is one that stays with her forever. And in this story, these sentiments and many more accompanied the parents, Kate and David Ogg, the day that Kate gave birth to the twins that she had at 26 weeks.
In this video, which I will attach to this broadcast, I will not have the volume, but you guys can see the video, and then I'll also have the link so you can experience the full video yourself. In this video, Kate describes how scared she was when she heard that she was going into labor early. A premature baby always brings some sort of complications. After Kate gave birth, her and her husband were anxious to learn the sexes of their children, but quickly realized that something had gone very wrong. Doctors informed the couple that they lost one of their babies, the baby boy, that the Oggs were intended to name Jamie.
Really sad. I mean, once they got that news, I can't imagine what a lot of families would have done. They would have been mourning the loss of the child, and they were just really devastated that that was happening to them. But after being informed that one of the babies had been lost, their response to the doctor's announcements was that Kate took the baby's form in her arms, the little baby Jamie, and cradled his body against her chest. And she ordered her husband to take off his clothes and to climb into bed so that the baby would have as much body heat as possible. The family stayed this way, skin on skin, and she just kept talking to the baby and telling him about how he had a sister and that he had a family and he had so much to live for, and was just loving him and encouraging him to stay with them. So the baby, previously believed to be lost, they started to see that he was moving around. The Oggs informed the midwives of what was happening, but they only responded by telling the couple that the baby was fading and they needed to say goodbye.
Okay, one of the things that right here proves about the nurturing nature of a woman, how did this woman know instinctively to do this? And that's the nature, the nurturing nature that a woman, a mother has. She knew exactly what she had to do to bring her child back to life. Okay, now the medical system, okay, right away just discharge the child as dead. It's gone. Just say your goodbyes. Stop being human.
What's the time of death?
The robotic nature of the medical community, which we know with you, they predicted doom, yet through my loving touch, through the love that I have provided you and believing in you that you could do this, that you did not need these surgeries.
Right. It's just another example of the miscalculation of the medical community and how they operate in a sphere of influence that is absolutely the wrong way. Instead of giving people hope, they give them negativity. They give them a disaster forecast. You know what I mean? They're telling this woman that the baby was fading and that they needed to say goodbye. I mean, they needed to say goodbye to this kid who was just born. Yeah. And the mom refused.
The strength in the nurture, because women think that if they're nurturing, if they show that weakness, that's weakness, and it's not. It's power. It's strength beyond imagination. The people need to
literally bring a child back to life.
Unfortunately, Kate continued to hold her baby against her chest, and to the great amazement of every person in that hospital room, the baby boy eventually opened his eyes and grabbed his father's finger. There are no words to accurately describe how incredible of an event this truly is. Jamie and his twin sister, Emily, will soon be turning 5 years old. They are happy, healthy, and downright adorable.
There isn't a day that goes by where Kate and her husband don't remember the miracle that made their family the family that it is today. You should hold your loved ones a little closer next time you see them. Family is a beautiful gift that should never be taken for granted.
And sometimes, unfortunately, family is not the family that you were given at birth, but the family that you choose to live your life with.
In a lot of trans lives as ours, we experience that on a daily basis because we realize that the family that we had doesn't accept the person that we've become. And, that's a sad reality for all of us to know, that we can also, though, take comfort in knowing that we can find family in those that accept us and those that love us. And that's something that you have demonstrated to me and that you have provided for me, that when nobody was there, when my mom wouldn't show up at the hospital, when my kids, nobody was there but you.
Nobody cared except me. And you were pretty much a stranger to me because we did interact over the phone. We did texting and Facebook, and we met for the first time in the ICU unit.
And we've never seen each other.
Yeah, when I saw you, I knew exactly what I had to do. I knew that you needed to be cared for and loved back to health, and that's exactly what I've done, and I have not left your side ever since.
And you told the doctors, no surgery.
We got this.
Nothing.
We got this, and we'll be good to go. I was not going to allow that Green Reaper of a system, which, have created a bunch of robots that know nothing about health. They know absolutely nothing about health, and they're pushing their poisons on people and their procedures, and people are falling for it. And I knew in my heart that you were strong enough to be able to deal with what you had to deal with without their poisons.
Well, this mother obviously knew more than the doctors knew.
Yeah.
Because she basically brought her child back from the dead.
Exactly.
Talking about people finding people from the dead. Here's our paranormal segment of our show. What are we talking about?
Well, on vacation in Australia in 2014, Kim Davidson, her friend Jessie, Lou, and 3 children were basking in the sun when they decided to snap this picture. They developed their photos later, but upon closer inspection, noticed something odd behind them. As you can see from the still image, which you guys will be able to see because you'll get the link, there appears to be an extra person posing with them in the sunshine, though they claim that they were the only people swimming in that area at the time. They were unnerved by the discovery, so they decided to do some research on the area where they were swimming, known as Murphy's Hole in the Locklear River, Hellendown, southeast Queensland. What they found send shivers down their spines, and it should.
Apparently, Murphy's Hole is a notoriously dangerous swimming area, reaching depths of over 20 feet. In 1915, a 13-year-old girl named Doreen O'Sullivan drowned there, and according to reports, her body was not recovered until nearly an hour after her death. Additionally, when reflecting upon the day the photo was taken, the family recalled several odd moments. One of Davidson's daughters claimed that something had tugged on her leg twice, possibly in an attempt to pull her underwater. Davidson herself recalls feeling as though something was behind her as she was leaving the water, but she chose to ignore it.
This photo has sparked much debate as people attempt to explain this phenomenon. Some claim that the supposed supernatural being in the photo has horns on either side of their head or her head, but others are adamant that it's simply pigtails or buns. The video states that experts have examined the photo as well and have come to the conclusion that it depicts a strange and possibly ghostly entity in the water. And you know what? I've seen spirits. I've been seeing spirits since I was a kid. I lived in a house that was loaded with them. My entire family saw them, so I know I'm not going crazy. There's a lot of recollections of these types where people take a picture, and sure enough, there's this odd blob spirit-looking thing. I believe that sometimes spirits die or a person dies in a very traumatic way, and their spirit can't get to the other side, or they're holding on to something on this side and just linger and linger.
There's a lot of mysteries about the afterlife that we don't know about.
Exactly.
But one thing that we do know is that these things do happen, and there's very, very many accounts of these things happening. And just a side note, there was a ride at Disneyland called the Haunted House, and at the end of the ride, if you got off, right before you got off, it showed like there was like a spirit riding inside the car with you.
I remember that, yes.
So it's kind of creepy, you saw this little skinny guy or a big fat dude.
Yeah.
I mean, but these things actually do happen.
Yeah, we live in a very sheltered world where we believe everything's black and white. We've been lied to by religion, the school system, politics. There's more to life than meets the eye. There's so much unknown that a little brain has only captured a minute amount of information, and we know absolutely nothing. We look up in the sky, we think, that
we're all by ourselves.
There's a bunch of stars in the moon, and how many planets? Pluto, Mars, and all these whatever.
9 planets.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger than that, and so much so, and we're seeing a lot of stuff taking place.
We think that the world revolves around us, and that's the thing. When there's going to be a major disclosure happening, and people are going to find out the truth that we are not alone and haven't been alone, and that extraterrestrials do exist, life on other planets does exist. I mean, they even found just recently in Jupiter that it had salt water in it. So these things have been happening, and in the Yucatan, which is formerly Mayan country, UFO sightings are in abundance at this time, even right now.
Right, yes.
Perhaps as a result of the last 2 UFO skywatches, people have become more inclined to look at the heavens, causing a notable increase in UFO reports in the Mexican city of Mérida. I have received 21 cases throughout February, and up to this date in March, both by phone and email, says the person who wrote this article.
Never before had I received so many reports, according to him, in a brief span of time, showing the interest that the subject has caused among Meridans in recent dates. Another factor could be the case of a truck driver who recorded at least 5 spheres flying around in broad daylight back in December of 2014 in downtown Mérida, a case that has given much to talk about even internationally.
Well, it is true that the 21 reports do not contribute unquestionable evidence that confirms the presence of vehicles from other worlds. We do have information that allows us to believe we are not dealing with objects having a logical explanation. One of the reports came from Ampliación Juan Pablo II district from Mr. Fernando Q. Carrillo.
He quotes, "I was returning from home along the Anillo Perifericio Poniente Beltway on the 18th of February. I had just about reached the entrance of the Susala Sheriff's Office when I suddenly saw a zigzagging light, a fact that caught my attention, as I thought at first that it looked like an airplane but by the movement it made, it was impossible that what I saw was a plane, as these movements were very quick, Furthermore, I travel through the area frequently, and I'm accustomed to seeing airliners turning to make their final approach to the airport.
Don Fernando points out that the time was around 6:30 in the evening. It was still bright, and it was a light that became stronger at intervals. It couldn't have been a satellite, much less a star. It shocked me so much that I pulled over on the beltway to take a look. When I got out of the car, I managed to see it making the same movement, and when I saw it, I was about to take a picture with my cell phone. It took off at full speed and vanished in a matter of instants, seconds. I know it's hard for you to believe me, as I have no proof, but I wanted to send you this report in case others have seen something similar in this area or in another area of the city.
Elsewhere, Aaron Vela, who lives in Ciudad Industrial near the airport, submitted a report almost identical to the previous one. He saw the object on March 3rd, 15 days after Don Fernando, and saw it to the north of his current position, that is, along the same road. A similar object was seen on the far end of the city in the El Salvador Alvarado Oriente district, near the bridge in the Anillo Perifericio over the Fidel Velázquez Avenue. It was there that Mrs. Josefina Manrique remarks that she was waiting for her son, who had entered a shop, and she casually looked up at the sky, noticing what she first took to be a star. It was around 9 o'clock at night. The star's light caught my attention as it outshone all others. Suddenly, to my surprise, I saw it move quick and it disappeared. My son thinks I'm nuts, but I'm sure of what I saw.
We are not alone.
We're not. I mean, those that think that the Earth is the center of the universe and there's nothing else out there, they're quacks.
They gotta be, because, I mean, there are billions of Earth-like planets even in our galaxy, and there is life being discovered. You know, I mean, the telescopes are finding more and more and reaching further and further into space and finding out that this little planet is really all this is. It's a little planet. We're just part of a speck of what's going on in the greater sphere of everything.
Yeah, and our government has a lot of explaining to do. They've lied. They've actually, a lot of the technology is alien technology. Roosevelt was given a lot of technology from these aliens, from the Roswell incident, and as things are just being kept hush-hush because they feel that people will not be able to handle the truth, then there's going to be all sorts of mass religion is going to end up just like falling apart because now they can't continue the same fairy.
Well, their story goes on with what's happened on this planet, and when people realize that there's more to life than just what's here, then the whole story kind of falls on itself.
Yeah, it falls apart. And there's more to life than meets the eye. We've been told lots and lots of lies from the beginning. You know, you're not alone. Religion is bogus. You know, there's a lot of miscommunication or misinformation in the Bible, all meant to confuse you. But as I'm sure that I'm here next to you, I'm sure that we are going to be receiving news very soon about disclosure, and things are going to change very quickly.
Even our own government, jokes about it. I mean, President Obama was on Jimmy Kimmel's show, and he was just joking around about it, but said that, the aliens don't let him tell him stuff, don't let him talk about things, and, it's supposed to be hush-hush and everything. Is it that they might be just kind of testing the water?
I think so, because something happened years ago. I think it was in the 50s where they had the World of Worlds or something of that nature.
War of the Worlds.
Yeah, and it was a radio thing, and people thought it was real, and people started freaking out because humans can't handle the truth.
Right.
They can't handle responsibilities. They can't handle the truth. They just want to live this little world with technology and their football games.
Stuff.
And that makes them happy. They don't want to know the real truth behind what's behind that curtain. And unfortunately, they're not going to have a choice.
Well, they're going to have to find out. It's going to be, shown to them whether they like it or not.
Exactly. And they're going to have to grow up and grow something. Basically. But anyway, guys, that's one real quick thing here we want to mention regarding this whole bathroom issue and trans issues.
Oh, because this is our trans section.
Yeah, I guess we're going to add a little trans.
Since we're both trans.
Yeah, since we're both trans. I know that we feel we have all the rights in the world to go in the bathroom that we identify as, but we also have to look at the needs of others. I know as Maritza, when I was still very early in my transition, I was still using the female bathroom at the gym. Actually, it was like the locker room, and I had a bathroom there. You got changed. Well, a lady went to walk in and closed the door, then did a double take and opened the door again and said, "Young man, you're in the wrong bathroom." Really upset at me. And I'm like, oh, my God. No. I'm in the right bathroom. I'm a female.
Right.
Still female in my gender marker in my license. I hadn't fully transitioned yet.
You were caught halfway between.
I was, and that was the scariest thing for me because I'm like, oh, my God, what do I do now? But at the same time, I felt very bad for her because this woman had the shock in her face that if I felt bad, like, oh, my God, no, it's okay. I'm a female. Don't worry, you know. And, you know, imagine how many of these females feel.
I can't imagine because these women, they have every right to be there, you know. I mean, and why is it that a person who doesn't pass well thinks that they have the opportunity to and the right and privilege to go into a bathroom when they can't even present well? I mean, if you want to go into the bathroom like that and you feel that you have the privilege to do the proper things to get yourself to that place where you can go in without being a distraction, you know? I mean, any woman is going to see a cross-dressing man and is going to get freaked out, you know? I mean, I think the TV show Transparent did nothing to help the transgender community. I might be ridiculed or laughed at for saying that, but the fact is that they cast a person who wasn't transgender. They put someone in there that doesn't look anything that resembles a woman. And a person, if you're over 50 and you're transitioning, it's very difficult to get that ability to transition gracefully because the hormones are not going to do the work that they need to do. So you've got all these people that claim their right to the bathroom as women when they look like men.
Exactly. And then, you know, it's nobody's fault but your own. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you cannot pass, are you expected to be allowed to use a bathroom to make other people feel uncomfortable? Either use a unisex bathroom. Mm-hmm. I would hold my pee forever. Because then I didn't feel safe in either bathroom. So I'm like, I can't go back into this women's bathroom and freak them out.
Right.
I didn't feel right. And I sure as heck wasn't going to go into a male's bathroom when they knew I was a female originally.
Because they knew you from before.
They knew me from before. So I was like caught within a rock and a hard place. So what I did for a year or so was just I would hold my piss till I got home. I mean, I remember taking my ex-wife Violet to the mall, and we would go to the movies and whatever, and it was like the bathroom was like the place of horror.
Right.
Because I didn't want to submit a female to that horror of seeing what they thought it was a guy, and I didn't want to go into the male's bathroom because they were going to go, God knows. I wasn't sure. So
you weren't confident.
I wasn't confident. So what I did is I just held it, and, you know, I sucked it up and until I felt confident enough that I would go into the appropriate bathroom that what people saw outside would fit.
Well, this issue is just going to shoot the transgender community in the foot because it puts a very negative spin because people think that they have to assert their right instead of being gracious to other people and allowing and being compassionate and understanding that we're the different ones here. They're not different. We are. Exactly. So we have to exhibit some kind of compassion and grace in our transition, wherever we might be, to understand that people are not going to be understanding,
right.
And that we just need to be understanding of our situation.
You want compassion, we need to learn to give that compassion to others as well, and realize that what we have done is not the norm in many people's eyes. We may feel self-righteous about it. We may feel that it's our right to go into that bathroom because, damn it, this is the gender that I identify as. But unless you look the part, unless you blend in, then you're going to have problems. So, you know, fighting with people, getting angry with people because these laws are being passed. These laws are being passed to protect those individuals that are either do not belong in the bathroom and are just part-timing it or just, you know, having a good time with it. The cross-dressers, and I'm not putting cross-dressers down. I love cross-dressers. I have a lot of cross-dressing friends, but they're not really female, and they're going into bathrooms where females aren't feeling comfortable.
Right. And that can be a very dangerous thing.
Yes.
And, I mean, there's people taking pictures in front of bathroom stalls, and there's like one genetic woman who says that she's going to start using the men's restroom.
Oh, yeah.
It's why make a matter worse?
To show camaraderie, solidarity, and to protest. I mean, that's only going to create more problems. We don't need none of that. We just need, I remember back in the day when I started advocating, we didn't push the issue. We were trying to educate people, being very calm about it, being very loving and understanding and compassionate, and trying to explain who we are to people, not pushing it down their throats. It won't solve a single thing. Two wrongs don't make a right. Be the bigger person. Understand why people see you as they do, and don't push yourself on people. It solves absolutely nothing.
I mean, trying to assert one's rights when we don't respect the rights of others is never the right thing to do. And if it leads to chaos, if it leads to problems, then we should really reevaluate what we're doing.
Because we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And these laws are made to protect people. They're made to protect individuals because, if you pass, you have no problem. Because no one's going to sit there and ID you before you go into the bathroom. And even if they ID'd you, your gender marker, if you've done what you need to do, should read what you are showing on the outside.
Right.
Mine says male. There's no what, they're going to make me pull my pants down and check to see how the size of my pecker? I doubt it.
That's going to happen.
So it's not going to affect those of us that have transitioned, that have all our papers in a row. Unfortunately, it's going to affect those that are in the in-between stage. But in the in-between stage, you're not going to make people feel comfortable when you're going into that set bathroom.
So you need to just, have some discretion. The onus is on you to make sure that you're not being offensive to people and that you are being able to present yourself as the gender that you want to present as. Because if you don't, then you're going to cause a lot of problems. There was that story in the show where, Maura goes in with the daughter and stuff, and then, people are uncomfortable. Yeah. But when it ends up that a genetic woman ends up getting kicked out of a health club because she, doesn't feel comfortable, that's wrong.
Exactly wrong, because, she's in the right to be in her bathroom, and the person who was in question very much looked like a cross-dresser.
Right. And
he's not going to look like a full-time. Yes. And that's, if she would have looked like a female, and there wouldn't have been a problem.
Right.
There wouldn't have been a problem.
Get your laser, get your, start doing HRT, lose weight before, you start to transition. Do things to allow yourself to transition gracefully.
Blend in a little bit better. Doesn't mean, that because we're always going to be trans, but blending in makes the going into the bathroom a lot easier. Like Lena says, losing weight. I've known many transgender female who have not had FFS, and just by losing weight, your whole face changes.
They have FFS. They become like they had FFS.
Yeah, exactly. And a better job than even if you went under the knife. Because that's what happens. But anyway, I know some of you will agree, some of you will disagree. We always try to bring, the sanity into a conversation, not always what you want to hear, but it's part of the growth and the evolution of being an evolved trans person. When you take responsibility, when you stop blaming others, when you stop being the victim.
Absolutely. And, basically, if you can't live your truth,
then, hey, it's just not worth living. Check out Wednesday. It's the nutrition and fitness section.
That's
we might have a guest, but we're still
working on it.
Yeah. If not, we'll have some great information on nutrition. And
it's always exciting to talk about nutrition.
Yes, because we're very, very much passionate about that. Yes, we are. Well, guys, thank you so much, and have a great evening.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.